All right, let's get right into one of the trickiest, most challenging laws of power. It's all about legacy, identity, and the very real danger of living in someone else's shadow. We are talking about Law 41, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You get the top job, you're following a brilliant leader, you inherit a hugely successful project. On the surface, it looks like you've hit the jackpot, right? But what if I told you that exact situation can be a trap? A curse even, that pretty much guarantees you'll never be seen as great in your own right. So the real question is, what do you do about it?
For the answer, we're obviously going to turn to our source material, Robert Greene's masterpiece, The 48 Laws of Power. This book is just packed with centuries of strategic wisdom, and Law 41 gives some pretty brutal and incredibly insightful advice on how to handle the weight of the past.
So first things first, let's unpack the fundamental problem here. Robert Greene has a name for it, the predecessor's shadow, and it's a challenge literally everyone faces when they come in second.
And here's the thing. This really gets into some deep psychology. We have this powerful built-in bias towards the original. The first person to climb the mountain, the first artist to paint in a new style, the entrepreneur who builds a company from scratch. We automatically see them as a genius. So anyone who comes after, by definition, they're less original. You're starting on the back foot from day one. So, the key takeaway here is that this shadow isn't just about high expectations. It's about your entire identity. Your predecessor's methods, their style, their personality, all of it just looms over you. Their wins become the yardstick you're measured against. And you know what? Even their failures are seen as opportunities you weren't smart enough to fix. It's a really, really tough spot to be in.
And this all leads us right to the heart of the matter, the law itself. Let's take a look at Robert Greene's formal judgment so we can understand the cold, hard rules of this particular power game.
Okay, so we've got the problem, right? This big, dark shadow hanging over you. Now, what's the solution? You might think it's about being patient, working harder, or, dutifully honoring the legacy that came before. But the answer, as you're about to see, is something way more radical.
Wow, that is incredibly direct. Greene is not telling you to gently tweak what came before. He's saying you have to accomplish double what they did, just to be seen on the same level. And the path forward is a revolution, not an evolution. You have to change course, establish your own name, and, this is the really controversial part, slay the overbearing father, and actually disparage his legacy. It's about a total break.
To really get why this advice is so extreme, let's look at what happens when you do the opposite. What happens when you ignore this law? Well, you end up on what's called the path of the follower. And let me tell you, that path almost always leads to being forgotten.
And this right here, this is how you slowly fade away into irrelevance. It starts out innocently enough. You respectfully continue their work, using their methods. I mean, that seems like the right thing to do, doesn't it? But pretty soon, you're just a tenant in a house they built. Any success you have, that's just a natural continuation of their genius. And before you know it, you're nothing but a minor character in their biography. You filled the shoes, sure, but you never once made your own tracks.
This chart just lays it all out, crystal clear. You've got two paths, and they couldn't be more different. The follower tries to squeeze into shoes that were made for someone else, but the creator, they make brand new shoes. The follower is trapped by the past, the creator smashes the past to build a new future. And the result is totally predictable. One path leads to less power, less influence. The other leads to more.
Okay, so we've seen the road to failure. Let's flip the script. How do you actually do this? How do you walk the path of the creator and become a true successor, someone who builds their own base of power? So Greene's advice is basically a 4-step guide for a hostile takeover of a legacy. First, you have to visibly, dramatically change course. Don't just make small adjustments, be completely different. Second, you have to consciously build your own name, your own identity. Third, and this is so important, you must symbolically slay the father figure. This means you find the flaws in their work and you make a public show of moving beyond them. And finally, you create your own spotlight, forcing everyone to see you and judge you on your own terms. So let's bring this all home. How can you actually apply this powerful and, let's be honest, sometimes difficult law to your own life and your own career?
This metaphor right here, this is everything. It gets to the absolute heart of the mindset. Think about the gentle son. He dutifully maintains what his father built, but he never actually creates anything himself. To apply Law 41, you have to completely reject that passive role. You have to see yourself as a founder of something new, not an inheritor, even if you're starting on a platform someone else created.
Okay, so let's break this down into a real, actionable game plan. First, study your predecessor. Where were they weak? What did they ignore or neglect? That's your opening. Fill that void. Second, don't just quietly do things differently. You have to make a show of it. Signal to everybody that a new era has begun. And finally, you have to build your own symbols, your own team, your own flagship projects, your own unique style that all scream you, not them.
At the end of the day, this law forces you to ask yourself a very, very direct question. It doesn't matter if you're a new manager, an artist following a master, or just trying to get out from under the shadow of a famous parent. The choice is always the same. Are you going to be a caretaker for someone else's legacy, or are you going to have the courage to build your own?